We do have another elder in our midst today, and that is whom you open our ceremony, Elder Verna McGregor. She is an Algonquin, Omamawini, and is from the Kitigan Zibi Anishinabeg First Nation near Maniwaki, Quebec. If you haven't been to Maniwaki, it is a beautiful, charming town that you should absolutely visit. As you may know, Ottawa-Gatineau, in the nation's capital, forms part of the Algonquin Nation's traditional and ceded lands of the Ottawa River watershed. Her past experience includes having worked with elders in the holding of Algonquin language symposiums and also traditional Native gatherings. Her past experience includes working in real estate, in banking, and also economic development projects such as the maple syrup processing facility for her First Nation, blending Algonquin tradition with technology. She has also worked for the various national Native organizations such as the Assembly of First Nations, the National Aboriginal Forestry and Association, and Minashwashin Lodge, Indigenous Women's Support Center, and many, many more. Elder McGregor is requested to speak a lot to various government organizations on various issues, including the comparison of worldviews. I present to you, ladies and gentlemen, Elder McGregor. Thank you very much. As I told you, we have really amazing, distinguished panel members today. So, our next panel member is a citizen of the multicultural universe, just like all of us are here today. She has used her linguistic and networking skills to build bridges between different communities for several decades. She has hosted the monthly African cultural program Fonton From on Rogers TV Cable 22 since 2002, as well as her weekly radio programs Black on Black and Africa Revisited on show 89.1 FM. This is a University of Ottawa community radio, and she has been hosting that since the late 1990s. A passionate promoter of African and Caribbean culture and activities, Sarah has been actively involved in public relations work for various African and Caribbean diplomatic missions, as well as numerous community organizations such as the Black History Ottawa, Dream Keepers, various Caribbean and African associations, as well as mainstream organizations such as OCISO, OLIP, and the United Way, which I'm sure a lot of you know these organizations. In 2003, Sarah, seeing a need to connect the mainstream Ottawa to its Black community, she created Black Ottawa 411. It's an online virtual hub providing information about the National Capital Region's Black community, Black-owned businesses, organizations, and events. This website is run entirely on a volunteer basis by Sarah, and it has become an essential resource for media, institutions, and individuals seeking contacts or services in this very diverse national capital region. Sarah's volunteer work has earned her many accolades, including the United Way East Ontario Community Builders Award, Queen Elizabeth II Diamond Jubilee Medal in 2012, Ottawa Distinguished Women in 2023, and the V Oscars Lifetime Achievement Award. Ladies and gentlemen, Madame Sarah Onyango. I am very, very excited for this panel today, and we really intend this to be interactive. So once our panel members are seated, if you have any questions, we'll make sure to entertain that for our panel members. Our next speaker and panel member is Dr. Emeso Wapsasio, the land acknowledgement of making space. Dr. Emeso Wapsasio is a Nihiao Eskio living in Algonquin and Anishinaabe territory. Her PhD dissertation is titled Telamin Housing Architecture and Home Territories in the 20th Century, Invisible Spaces Shaping Historical Indigenous Education. It explores the ways in which Indigenous people have maintained their cultural and spatial heritage even while forced to inhabit architecture that follows colonial paradigms. She co-wrote the Federation of Sovereign Indigenous Nation Women's Commission submission to the National Inquiry into Missing and Murdered Indigenous Women and Girls and LGBTQIA+ people. For the past several years, she has been an assistant professor in the Department of Education at the University of Prince Edward Island, where she had led a suite of courses on indigenous culture and values and the emerging legacy of residential schools. Dr. Meso is currently cross-appointed with Carleton's Institute of Interdisciplinary Studies, Department of History, and Israeli School of Architecture and Urbanism. Mesdames et Messieurs, I present to you Dr. Meso Wapsasio. Merci. Our next speaker and panel member is an Ojibwe Cree and born and raised in Ottawa, Ontario. He is a father and he is a grandfather. Both his parents are survivors of residential schools here in Canada. His late father is from North Spirit Lake, Ontario, and his mom is from Waswanipi, Quebec. He has been singing since he was 8 years of age and dancing the grass style for over 5 years now. He is the drum keeper of the Spirit Wolf Singers. He has always been around the Powwow area since he was a child and was lucky to receive teachings. He is a student and graduate of Algonquin College, a graduate of digital music production, music industry, arts, and broadcasting television programs. Currently enrolled in script writing, he loves his school and is a student navigator at the Mamem Dosewen Center. He loves sharing his story and really incorporate that into each and every performance. I present to you, ladies and gentlemen, Randy Kagamik. Miigwech. Just a couple more. We're almost there. So bear with me. Now, our next doctor, a panel member, presented the topic of the power of volunteering to build meaningful connection. Dr. Ruba Fatal is a woman of intelligence and an outstanding volunteer. She holds a PhD in political science, is a full-time public servant, and a part-time professor at both the University of Ottawa and the Carleton University. In her community of Canada, Carleton, she volunteers as the Director of Outreach for the Trail West Community Association. She is also a neighborhood watch coordinator for the Ottawa Police Services, for the Canada Food Cupboard and Load the Buses event, for Canada Day in Canada, and for the Ottawa Public Library in Beaverbrook, Canada, where she organizes free workshops for seniors on internet and social media literacy. She's helping them to overcome loneliness and to connect them with their loved ones. A very noble cause. Thank you. Dr. Fatal works closely, absolutely, with Canadians of all backgrounds. She addresses social challenges, and her recent efforts have been focused on poverty alleviation and homelessness. She's a board of director at the Western Community Resource Center that runs Chrysalis House. It is a women's shelter located in the west of Ottawa. She is also the chair of the board development committee at WOCRC, advocating for affordable housing within the community. She is also a board of director at the Canada Food Cupboard and is the chair of its governance committee. Dr. Fatal's many volunteer activities promote inclusivity, diversity, and empowerment of women, as well as youth and children with post-traumatic disorder, which we know as PTSD. She learned the importance of giving back to one's community as soon after immigrating here to Canada from Syria as a teenager, when a friend of ours asked her to volunteer at the Salvation Army. It was her very first volunteer experience, and that's where she discovered that altruism not only felt good, but that magic happens when people come together to serve others. Don't you agree? And